Hi everyone, it's 20 to 11. So it's my pleasure now to introduce Kris Curtis to you all. Kris is server administrator and Tableau lead at Just Eat. And it's great to be able to hear about server because it's not something we get to learn about every day. So Kris, if you're ready, over to you to take control.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Perfect. So thanks for letting me speak. I'm really sort of glad to get the chance to talk about Tableau Server. As we just mentioned, that it doesn't really get an option to sort of really get talked about very often. So my talk today is aimed at people who are interested in learning more about Tableau Server or is new to a Tableau Server admin role. You know, it's more than just keeping a server running. And I think that at the moment there's a heavy focus on Tableau desktop in the community. So unless you really dig deep, there's not much stuff around Tableau server. So deep within a business, there's a Tableau user, one who knows what to do, one who's sought out in times of trouble. They slip into the shadows when everything is fine. When trouble strikes, they stand up and face down evil. This is their story. So it's a day like any other at Just Eat, fast, challenging, and busy. Decisions have to be made. Data makes us happen. Just Eat's been using Tableau as its primary visualization tool since about 2013. We have about 1,300 monthly unique users on our server and 160 desktop licenses. Past experiences with providing software and tools to analysts had resulted in varied levels of engagement. Some people used the tools, some people didn't. It sent mixed messages to a lot of stakeholders. They didn't really know where to look, where to find the information that they wanted. So when Tableau was introduced, there was some concerns that it would follow the same sort of fate. So a decision was made to employ someone to drive the engagement of the product through their knowledge and passion. And a dedicated Tableau expert was recruited and employed. This person was on hand to troubleshoot desktop users' issues, work with designing best practice dashboards, and really sort of focus on being an in-house expert. This role really worked well. Engagement really grew. Lots of content was being created. The business really loved, engage in Tableau. It's really well embedded within the business. There started becoming a lot more of a demand for Tableau desktop licenses outside the traditional business intelligence team. And when it came for time for this person to move on, the role had changed slightly to cover a lot more on Tableau server side. So with so much engagement, a new problem had arisen. So the Tableau server was struggling and needed a bit of help. I started Just Eat in 2016 and spent the first 3 months working on understanding what the server was actually doing. The first task I completed was full documentation of the server installation. Who did what and why? Who should fix things if it broke? Who to contact? All this kind of documentation helped me understand all the working parts of the Tableau server. So at the same time, there was a lot of requests for support from the desktop users. And normally this involved a lot of emails, instant messages, Google Chat, walk-ups to my desk. You know, always happy to help. I found myself spending a lot of time supporting other people rather than focusing on the bigger problem, which is making sure that the Tableau server was running. I tried some time management techniques, setting aside time each day, tried to deal with these requests, and I had trouble keeping track of them. Most of these were coming into email, so it was very difficult to try and find them when you needed to respond, especially if you missed a few. So I'd also set an expectation of quick responses. If I was in meetings, delivering training, or offsite, a lot of users contacted me via instant chat. They were getting frustrated because I couldn't respond straight away. I was finding myself getting more and more stressed out and worrying about not delivering. And the server was also starting to become more and more slower and slower. So it's a constant dilemma. Who to help first? I was really fortunate with Just Eat that I was able to go to the Tableau conference in Austin in 2016, and this time away from the office was what I needed. I was able to attend some sessions with a lot of the other server admins and Tableau experts. So as 2016 ended, I was tasked with showing how Tableau adds value to the business. By needing to show how I was adding value, it made me think about all the issues that were being raised and what I was working on. And what emerged was 4 key areas which I found all these requests would come under. So Tableau was slow, performance. I was really sort of found out that a lot of these issues and complaints were being raised around the performance of Tableau, and this was in both Tableau desktops loading, but also the overall performance of the server. Engagement and training. This is when desktop users were not knowing how to do something, or they were doing something which was leading to performance issues. The Tableau community. So a lot of people having issues with access and not being able to view different content which is being shared with them. And then around development. So what are the things that I can actually do and bring into the deployment to actually help out all these other different areas? So just looking in each of the different areas, I was happy with the 4 areas of focus. And what I wanted to do was create a plan about how to understand more about these things. So I started with a vision for each area, and any new project that I created had to align to these. So when I was looking at performance, my vision was to create a service which was world class, where users can access dashboards quickly and easily to make them to help with them make their business decisions. In order to achieve this, what I needed to know was about what did I need to know about my server performance. I needed to know if it was running well. When it wasn't, I wanted to know why it wasn't. When the server was struggling, I wanted to know what the cause was and what I could do to fix it. Finally, I wanted to know if my stakeholders could do what they wanted to do, if this was in a dashboard, in a meeting, or load in a new data source. Training and education was also a second area. Users were causing issues on the server because they were cutting corners and designing inefficient dashboards. So what I realized that this could be solved with creating some training and making sure that they were using the tool correctly. By working with a lot of the power users who were creating lots of content, I could understand where the knowledge gaps were and design these training programs around these people. The third area was around the community. We had a lot of desktop users creating content, but nothing promoting the use of Tableau for the wider business. What would happen would be a desktop user would create a dashboard and publish to the server. They would then send a link around to interested people, and this would find other people would share it with more and more people. Users would find they didn't have access to view, and then they would contact me and with frustrations, and it was generally a poor user experience. The Tableau server needed to be made available to more people in an easier way, and this includes making it easy to access, removing barriers to viewing content, and promoting around the business. Finally, development. And this is where I could get my hands dirty and bring some wow to our deployment. These changes could be visible with users, such as a customized landing page, or remain unseen with some scripted data extracts. So much like Batman, our server hero has no superpowers. All you need is knowledge, dedication, and patience, and a whole lot of tools. So over the past 18 months, I built up a collection of tools to help me administer Tableau. Each of these tools falls under my 4 areas of focus, and it helps me answer a lot of these questions that I have. It's been a gradual process in building up these tools, and some take more time in terms of maintaining a wiki site or building a training program. Investing the time in these pays off in the long run. Because I have a dedicated wiki site, anytime someone asks me a simple question, I can direct from there. I can add this link in any new starter emails with their Tableau server login instructions. So I'm just going to go through some of the tools that I've built in place, and just talk about what I've done and how they have benefited the server deployment. So the first one is around server monitoring. And each day I would have complaints saying Tableau isn't just loading. I wasn't sure if this was the dashboard that were loading or the entire server. And I'd have to log on to a remote machine and open Task Manager and check CPU and memory. Eventually, I got sick of this and had set out to give myself better visibility of what was going on. So CloudWatch forms the first line of CPU and memory monitoring of our machines. And this is based on the Amazon Web Services, where we have our Tableau servers installed on the EC2 machines. I can set up alerts on these, and it can basically tell me if there's a CPU is running higher than 80% for more than a certain amount of time. There's also Tabmon, and Tabmon gives you a lot of performance information around what's going on in your machines as well. And I installed Tableau and published a dashboard to give me a quick view of server performance if anyone was complaining. And going a step further, I set up some Windows performance monitoring on the machines, and this could collect and load. I could collect the data from this and load into a dashboard. I normally do this every few months, and it's on my list of things to do to make it more into an automated process. Tabmon and Perfmon are both available to investigate spikes and find out causes. And I learned a lot about this from Paul Benoob's 3-part blog series, all about monitoring Tableau server. So now I had a fairly good idea about how my hardware was performing, but I could spend weeks or months continuing to tweak and improve a lot of this data collection. But there were so many other things that I needed to spend my attention on. So the next part was to develop some more detailed views about what people were doing on the server. And the standard Tableau server admin views give really basic views, so they don't really quite cut it all the time, especially when there's specific questions that you need answers for. Lucky for me, in Paul's blog post, he linked to Mark Jackson, who also had produced a blog post about creating custom server admin views using the PostgreSQL database. So BI on BI, what could be more geekier? Unpicking Mark's dashboards, he shared helped me understand many of the tables available and helped me shape my own custom server views. Postgres has saved the day for me many times. Only recently, I was asked a random question about how many Tableau databases use a data source from Amazon Redshift. So luckily, in the Postgres database, there is a table called data sources. And by joining the workbooks and owners to this data source, I could develop a dashboard which give me a list of all the key dashboards that are using Amazon Redshift to help out with our data team. Finally, enabling desktop reporting and working with our IT team, it gave me a view of which users are engaging and which users have left the business or dropped off, so I can recycle license keys. I can see who has been given a license, gone through training, and check their usage. I notify users after 3 months if they've not used Tableau Desktop, and that they will lose their license key and reassign to someone who is really keen and eager to learn. So after investigating a lot of users' complaints about performance, I found lots of examples of slow loading dashboards. These are poorly built, and I found that the same users are responsible time and time again. To address this, I developed 3 main training programs aimed at educating how to use Tableau Server, fundamentals of Tableau Desktop, and taking experienced users and showing best practice and advanced techniques. So the main training program that we have generated is called Data Chefs. It's a self-serve project. 12 candidates are selected across the business within the company, and they complete a 6-week course with 1 training session per week for 3 hours. At the end of the course, they present back to the group and peers. They present a working dashboard and visualization that they've created. Normally, this is around answering a business question that's impacting their own team. So we tend to use a lot of the, we avoid using Superstore data, and we tend to stick with Just Eat data to get better understanding of some of the key metrics that we use within the business. So we rebranded the Data Chefs to fit into more of a Just Eat culture, and we advertise this. We have a huge demand with over 80 people registering for 12 spaces. With careful shortlisting and evaluating the value of the for the applicant, the applicant would get from this course. We had so much demand that we ended up running 2 more courses last year. We already have people inquiring about this year's course. So the program's been a success due to enabling users to visualize data relevant to them. The basic time-consuming requests to our analysts has fallen, and a lot of the projects are more focused on business questions that have been shaped by the data chefs, moving away from people just requesting all the data. The managers who have data chefs in their teams now request that their new starters obtain a desktop license. They see the value that Tableau gives, and previous data chefs have become Tableau champions who help others. Analysts using Tableau are giving more bespoke training, focusing on more advanced topics such as level of detail calculations, and also designing efficient dashboards. So we don't have any barriers to using Tableau at Just Eat. We give all staff access to the Tableau server. We consider all requests to Tableau desktop requests, and we have 160 desktop users. So it's hard to keep up with everyone. And as mentioned before, I'd find my inbox overflowing with emails asking for help. To handle this and let the Tableau champions and data chefs take some of the workload, we opened up a dedicated Tableau chat room. We created this dedicated room for Tableau related content in HipChat. And this is already part of our tech team's communication channel. So at first it was just me posting about events and product updates, basically. Users then started asking questions, and I would respond with solutions and in this public space. Other people in the room could view these conversations and start learning. Now I have users who share tips, white papers, events, and assist others when questions are asked. Sometimes I find that I'm the second or third person in responding to someone's question. There are plenty of communications tools available: Slack, Facebook Workspace, and HipChat, to name a few. And I'd recommend trying to leverage any system that your company already has in use. Sitting alongside this is a link to a booking form for Tableau surgery. And I book out 1 hour per week when anyone can come to me with a Tableau related problem. If someone emails me on a Monday about an issue, I'll book them a slot and ask them to share that workbook. Seeing these issues gives me plenty of content to post in the internal wiki page. And I can direct users, other people, to these examples when they're solved like months later. For anything more complex, we usually direct to raising a Jira ticket, which keeps track of progress and the issues being raised. These normally come down to detailed calculated fields and failures in the data source. So it normally involves a few other teams and team members to resolve. Sometimes, in order to solve a problem, you need to create a new solution. Regular feedback from senior stakeholders using Tableau revealed that it was often difficult to find content. Due to our site structure, which gave each country their own Tableau site, many reports were not able to be accessed when shared across the business. Not really a great experience for a senior user when they're trying to promote communication across the business. So developing the menu as a landing page has enabled users to circulate a standard set of dashboards across Just Eat. This serves as a reporting catalog, and we handpick treats of data and insight. Users can choose their favorite Just Eat reports to taste the latest information from across the business. Working with our design team, who provided images and design guidelines, we have a professional looking landing page, which is a gateway to the curated list of reports. Connection to a Postgres data source gives the viewer some metadata displaying who the report owner is, how many views it's had, and when it was last updated. I think that's a really sort of powerful tip to add in if you're looking to create any sort of landing page or catalog system like that. Is adding that additional user information really goes a long way. I'm looking forward to the next iteration of this project as well. One of the other issues that we found was that we have several large tables which are published as data sources. They tend to answer a lot of business questions around what's happening at a particular time. And some of these data sources focus around our order data and restaurant information at Just Eat. It gives a lot of users a view of business activity, and these core data sources are used by a lot of workbooks. We found that setting a regular extract schedule for these data sources could result in extracts running, but the source table not being finished loading yet. And this meant a lot of reports were then out of date. To solve this, our data team added a tab command refresh extract into the Python script that was updating these tables. And once the table had been updated in the database, it would then refresh on Tableau server. It was a really powerful solution to some of these issues. So superheroes tend to work 365 days a year. I, however, like to take time off and travel to somewhere warm and sit on the beach. Who looks after the Tableau server when I'm not available? It's something that we need to get better at. Luckily, we have a few other people here who are willing to put up their hands and in times of need. Sometimes you get someone who shows so much passion and enthusiasm that you take them under your wing and you teach them as much as you can. I'm lucky that I have fantastic support in our engineering team. We work well together and have a good understanding of what each of us are responsible for. So working closely with an IT team can really sort of help you deliver a really good Tableau server environment. There's a different range of skill sets involved within Tableau server. So by having this relationship with my IT team, and also at the start when I mentioned documenting the entire server deployment, clearly defining the roles and responsibilities helps make sure that the service has the support that it needs. So you can see there in terms of as the Tableau server administrator, a lot of the work that I produce would be around the installation and configuration of Tableau server, and then supporting along the sides of desktop support and troubleshooting users issues. Our IT team support a lot of the things around the single sign-on and building of the machines that Tableau server is hosted on. They handle the security permissions in terms of access to Tableau server itself, and they maintain a lot of the backups of taking a backup of the Tableau server as well. So my advice there is to nurture any Tableau champions that you find. Anyone that shows any sort of interest, really sort of help build these relationships, and they can help you in the future. So the best thing about Tableau, I must admit, is the community, and it's been mentioned time and time again. There's so much information out there, and this is probably how I've learned a lot about Tableau server administration. I just wanted to sort of mention a few of the people that I've learned from, and hopefully, if you haven't found any information from these guys before, please do take a look. It's really sort of helped me sort of get over a big learning curve in terms of Tableau server administration. The first person is Paul Benoob, and Paul's Viz Ninja blog is probably one of the most well-known for server admins. I came across his blog after my first week in the role, and I was struggling a little bit, and I thought that I'd sort of bitten off a bit more than I could chew. His experience and knowledge in running BI as a server, as a service in a large company has really helped shape me in terms of my role and deliver some amazing results for our deployment at Just Eat. Data Chefs, our internal training program, was created after an insightful phone call with Paul about creating a center of excellence. Paul's got some, I mentioned before around the server monitoring series of blogs as well. So, a lot of that information I've taken and developed my own sort of monitoring dashboards off the back of that. Next person I wanted to mention is Mark Jackson. I've not met Mark and I've not seen him present, but if I get a chance, I'll shake his hand and buy him a beer. Mark's sharing of dashboards covering all areas of monitoring on this Tableau server are fantastic. His custom landing page gave me the idea to solve their issue with too much content and not being able to find the right things. And that developed into our landing page. Helping unpick the Postgres tables is a bit daunting. Reverse engineering some of Mark's dashboards really helped me create my own set of command center excellence, command center dashboards tailored to the needs of my deployment. Next person is Tamas Foldy. And I saw Tamas present at Tableau Conference on Tour in London last year. And some of the stuff that Tamas is doing is absolutely incredible with the JavaScript API. He's got a blog called Data Boss, and I found Tamas's blog when I was looking into issues with publishing large data extracts. Publishing large data extract as a data source, and Tamas has a trick about getting this onto the Tableau server if only run one row of data, so it's very quick to publish, and then you get it to do a full refresh on the server rather than on your desktop. So I'd strongly recommend checking out Tamas's blog. There's so much information there if you really want to get into the real sort of very technical the JavaScript aspect of Tableau server. Next person I really sort of learned a lot from was Brian Mooneyham at Wells Fargo, and I saw him present in Tableau conference TC16 in Austin, and I was 1 month into my role as a server administrator, and I was seeing a lot of different issues with performance. And Brian and his team presented from Wells Fargo, and I think I've watched the recording of their session about 5 or 6 times. There was so much there that I could relate to, and I literally tried to apply everything that I learned from that session onto our own server deployment, such as assigning short-running extracts a higher priority and long extracts a low priority. It changed the way our data extracts were running. I changed the extract schedules to align with the different time zones for each of our markets. So the data extracts for Europe and so in Greenwich Mean Time and Eastern Standard Time and Australian Eastern Standard Time meant that critical dashboards are being refreshed before users come online in Europe, and our North American extracts run before lunch, so when the East Coast comes online. And the other person is Russell Christopher. The knowledge that Russell has shared about using Tableau and AWS is unbelievable. Running tests on different EC2 instances, optimizing Tableau for Redshift. If you're running a Tableau server and connecting to Amazon Redshift as a data source, he's got a series of blog posts called Road Rules for Tableau and Redshift, and this is a must read. So sometimes things don't go your way. Dealing with issues can really derail your projects, and everything has to be dropped. Maintaining a stable server is always the priority. I've listed some of the nagging issues that no matter what happens, they always keep coming back. So the first one is around Tableau server site architecture and making sure that you get this right. Businesses change and evolve, and sometimes the business moves faster than you can react. Just Eat has a site per country, and this seemed logical 12 months ago. And a shift into global direction makes this site architecture completely out of date. And Tableau is so ingrained, it's hard to change. We've got an ongoing project around this, and it's going to take a lot of sort of migration work and a lot of communication around changing from a site structure per country to a site for all the countries. Second issue is about what data sources are actually correct. So we have multiple published data sources, and Tableau 10.4 has brought in the certified data source, but there's still a little bit of an issue around checking that these data sources are accurate, which data source is the correct one, who's the right owner, do we agree on the calculated fields that come into this? This is a key issue, and I've not really come up with a solution for this one yet. So number 3 is an inherited issue where users had site administration permissions for certain sites. I should have questioned this when I started and maybe asserted some authority. I allowed things to stay the same and I probably suffered from this. Admins are changing extracts. So site admins are changing extracts, changing user permissions, and creating projects. And this has caused all kinds of nightmares. So there's future plans in place to really sort of crack down on this and stop this once and for all. So lazy users creating inefficient dashboards. Each end user suffer with slow loading dashboards. Education is key, but some will still slip through. And the community forum is key for exposing this. So I find that sometimes there's a lot of people will publish dashboards, and there'll potentially be a live connection in there to a database, which is not always as fast as we would like it to be. And I get users complaining to me saying Tableau server is running slow. I then have to go through a whole lot of spot checks, and then realizing that it's actually a live connection in a workbook that's going through and causing these speed issues. So cracking down on that is key, and this comes back to education programs and the server monitoring to make sure that you are aware of everything that's taking place on the Tableau server. So Tableau server admin's role doesn't need to be boring. Hopefully you have the freedom to explore ideas that suit your development's needs. My role varies day to day, and I've developed a greater respect and appreciation for teachers and educators. Delivering training was fairly new to me, coming from an analytic-based role. And I've enjoyed this learning curve, and it's helped me be more patient with stakeholders. It's really rewarding watching people's expressions when they see what Tableau allows them to do. I'm also looking forward to my new projects this year, a big focus on hardware and a chance to plan and deliver a new Tableau site architecture. As 2017, we had 48 data chefs trained, so it was three courses completed. We changed the AWS machines. We had multiple upgrades, I think moving from 10.1 up to 10.4. We increased our total server core count, and we added a third worker. So we have two machines that do a lot of all the lifting and visualization, to visualize the dashboards, and a third worker assigned just to running the extracts. And we also completed a lot of advanced training for our analysts. So this year, 2018, we've just completed a 10.5 upgrade. We have a database migration, which is a fairly massive project. And this involves moving away from the Amazon Redshift database as our primary data source to Google BigQuery. And we're also going to be migrating a Tableau server from the Amazon EC2 machines into Google Cloud Platform. Hopefully, once all these big projects are completed, the Data Chef program will be redesigned and relaunched later this year. So my top tips, I'm running a bit of ahead of schedule, but my top tips are: stay focused. If you can find a small issue or something that's not perfect, don't waste days trying to fix it. Keep sight of your core objectives and try to continue working towards delivering them. If you achieve these, then you begin to free up your resources and can start sorting out some of the small annoying things. Pick your battles. Sometimes a user will request something that doesn't really make any sense to you. Examples include scheduling extract refreshes during busy times of the day, when you know that the database will be very sort of active, giving web edit permissions to lots of different users, not removing content which is no longer needed. And I think that sometimes it's better to just focus on some of the important tasks and really stand your ground when there's bigger issues that come up. And a lot of these sort of other issues you can just deal with as they come through, and just manage through with your stakeholders. Final big tip is around recruiting champions, and this helped me massively as I'm currently running the Tableau server by myself. And the number of queries that you get answered in the forum from other Tableau enthusiasts and I'd say champions in my company. It gives me a chance to just focus on my work, and it gives me a bit of a breather. The champions also push you to be on your game, especially when it comes to an issue that they can't resolve. So it's always good to have them, when they improve their skills, they can come to you with an issue, and it forces you to develop yourself as well. So I'd like to thank you for spending the time listening to me talk about Tableau Server. If there's any new server admins out there, welcome. Don't think that you're alone. And I've just got the links to the guys' blogs that I mentioned before. And I just want to, open up. If there's any questions, please let me know.
Kris, thank you. That was absolutely awesome. And judging by the feedback we've been getting on Twitter and on chat, I think everybody loved it, especially the fairly unique style of the slides, I think it's fair to say. So I think we might be calling you the Tableau Deadpool in future. I think you had 3 Q&As, so you're right if I just read them out to you?
Yep, I can see those ones.
Cool, so if you're right taking them individually, so are you able to share your monitoring dashboards?
I will definitely share my monitoring dashboards and put them up. I'll put them up on my Tableau Public, I guess.
Fab, thank you. And
or has anyone got any other options, I can do that.
Okay, thank you. I've just got one other question as well for that particular one. Is your landing page, is it possible to share that as well? Just see
I can share, yeah, I can share I can share probably images of the landing page. I might have to do some workarounds in terms of what content's contained in that, but yeah, I can work something out for that.
And then Joanna has asked, how are you inducting business users with how to navigate Tableau Server? Is it in person, guides, or webinars?
So that is in webinars and guides. We plan to sort of start doing some more induction-based face-to-face sessions with new starters in terms of how to navigate Tableau Server. So it's definitely not face-to-face at the moment, but we look to start doing that.
Cool, thank you ever so much. I'm not sure, the other one was from Rodrigo. I'm not sure it's a question as such. So how to convince people not related to Tableau that using a live server dashboard is better than sticking to a screenshot or a static image? So I guess just your experience of kind of how you find using server to get live real-time info.
So I think one of the objectives that we have, I think one of my previous managers, his ambition was that we use Tableau Server within meetings, so people can demonstrate the data right then and there, rather than having to sort of just put images of dashboards in the slides. So I think that's the goal that we sort of have, and making sure that Tableau Server is running as optimized as possible. Make sure that we really stick to that ambition.
Fabulous, thank you ever so much. I think that's all the Q&As. So just on behalf of everyone here for hosting, thanks ever so much for an amazing 45 minutes. So we've got